Alrighty then, so on the next question, we've got the two arrays created, as I said, with the counter, so we weren't really requiring counter. But now it needs to be, say, one object for each month in November, so it's showing me that there's a booking day per each day in the month. Write code to create a constructor method that will receive the contents of the file weddings.txt. The file name should be given as a string parameter, construct the method, blah, 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 blah. Now, this is pretty much exactly like the last test I gave you where I asked you to read from a text file and add to an array. So what we're going to do is, one, it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with the actual text file. So one, we need to make sure the text file is inside our project folder. I don't know why I called it 18, it's actually 2016, but anyway, whatever. And when you open up the weddings.txt, you'll see this is what it looks like. So it's got the bride first, then the groom, then follows by the date, where the wedding is, and the number of guests. So that is what it's going to be asking us here. So if we go to our code and we need to create this, so it says in our constructor, so we got asked to create a constructor that will receive through the file name, or the location file path technically, but yeah, let's just say file name, and it will create an instance of that file. So file, make use, damn it, file, control spacebar, if is equal to new file, and you would create an instance to that path of there. Now what you'll do is you'll then create a scanner to scan through that. This is stuff that you should all know. On the scanner, we're going to scan through the file. So I'm just going to call it SCF, and we're going to equal to a new scanner, and that scanner that we're going to look through is going to have this file source F. Now the file source F is going to throw an error because we are dealing with an external object. Potentially that external object we might not recognize. Might cause an error and it'll throw an exception, so we have to handle the error. So we can just go to here and we can go surround block with try catch, and that will then handle this error and we'll handle it here. We don't use the logger, well we can use the logger, but I'm not going to, and we're just going to do a system.error.println, so we print it out like an error to the command line, and we're going to say error in venue manager constructor, so you say where it's happening, and then I would suggest you also put there EX, so you'll display why it's happening. I put that let me actually rather do this and then I can display it bigger on the screen for you. Okay, plus EX, so we don't have to worry about that. Alright, now after we've got the scanner, we now need to loop through our scanner. So while SCF dot has next, so while there is more items in the file, we're going to loop through it until we get to the end. And in each line, what we're going to do is we're going to go record, so we're going to create a string to store an individual record, because each line, if you read the question paper, says that each line results in one record, so make it equal to the record. So we're going to get the record, and from the record we're going to get the whole of the next line, so it's that next line, and make sure your next lines will get the whole, every single line results in a new record. .next might not necessarily result in a new record. The whole line, the question paper says the whole line will result in the next record. We're then going to create another scanner, and this scanner is going to be scanning through the record, and we're going to say new scanner is equal to record. We'll scan through the record. So this will then separate the record into our different components. Now we know we use if you look at the actual text file, the text file uses a hash character to separate things. str dot use delimiter, and we're going to use the limiter of a hash character, and we now are going to separate it into its items. And as we said, the first thing that's a string is the bride, so we'll go string bride is equal to scr dot next. The next one is our groom, which is equal to scr dot next, and our next item on there is our date of booking, so string booking date is equal to scr dot next. And now that we've got enough to initialize our object, so I'm actually going to go and I'm going to say weddings, booking manager, bookings. Oh, No, I lied to you. What's it asking us to do? It's asking us to initialize the wedding. My bad. Let's take a look through this again. Let's read the question paper. It says there, weddings.txt. Each result through 50 times. Read in each line and split the wedding data. Create a wedding object and the number of guests. Note, you do not need to create any booking day objects in this. Bride, groom, booking date. And if we take a look at the next option that we have there, is we then have whether it's garden or wedding, they then have guests, and the wedding object has bride, groom, wedding date, venue, guests. Okay, so we need venue, so I'm overcomplicating it here. String venue is equal to scr dot next, and then string date, no, what's it, guests is equal to scr dot next. Cool, done. Now that we've got that, you'll see there that, my bad, the next thing that we need to do is we need to add that actual guest. So now we're going to go weddings, position num weddings is equal to new wedding, and this should be int guests, my bad, int guests, this should be next, int, my fault in that. Okay, now we will then increment our num weddings. So when we increment our num weddings, we'll increment it so that we can now know that will be the next position of the weddings. Okay, so that's the weddings one text file read from. Happy birthday, that was easy enough. There was nothing major with regards to separating that or anything like that. So now we go down and it says write code that will create a method called list all weddings. This method should return a string containing all of the weddings informations that you created above. Each wedding detail should be in a new line. So list all weddings, this is basically a toString that we learn as a toString as well. It's the same thing. Public string list all weddings, and then we are going to literally create a loop that will loop through up until my number of weddings. So I'll go through each individual object and then return from there. So each individual object, we will just start off by creating a blank string, which we need to return a string containing all the information that is there. We then need to return all that information that is there. So return s all. Now from there, I'm going to literally go and say, hey, num, I've lost my train of thought here. I would need to go and I need to add to s all plus equals weddings at position I dot toString. Remember, if you left that blank, it would automatically call the toString, but I'd rather to be on the safe side, let's just put it there. And it separates it by a line. It doesn't say a blank line in between, does it? It should be on a new line. No, that's fine. So we just have a backslash n, and that would list it. So that's a basic toString. You literally create a blank string, loop through your array up to the maximum number, and then you use the toString of each individual object with I. So now the next one is to get weddings on day. So it says there, write code to create a method called get weddings on day that will search through the array of the wedding objects for all weddings on a particular day and return a wedding object. This will search the array of weddings for all weddings on a particular day and return a wedding object on this day. This method should accept two string parameters, the first representing the date to search, the second parameter representing the venue to search. The method must return the wedding object that occurs on that day and in that venue specified. If there's no match found, null should be returned. Okay, so for this, we're literally creating a public wedding. So we're going to return the actual physical object wedding. We're going to say get wedding on day. So it's quite clear that what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be receiving through a string of venue and a string for end day. I say end day because I know that when we looked earlier, we're going to be using the weddings equals function, that we created earlier on this, and if those are equal to each other, it will return the Boolean yes or no. So we're going to be using that method, that's why I was calling it a similar name. So now we know if we don't find it, we're going to return null. So I'm just going to start by doing that. I'm going to return null, meaning that I haven't found it, but now I'm going to try to find it. So to find it, I need to loop through my array of weddings. So I'm going to loop through my wedding array, and if you look at the question, it says there that null will be returned if it's not found, and we'll receive 2 string parameters, search for each. Now what we're going to do is we just got to literally go if weddings on position I dot equals, because we created that method earlier, with the string in day and in venue, and if those are the same, then we will return weddings at position I. So we'll actually return that physical object of weddings, so that it will be returned. If it is not found, if they don't equal to those, it will loop through all of the weddings. It means it doesn't exist, and in which case it will return null. So that's question done. We now go down further down. We go to the next question. It says write code to create a method called process booking that will populate the bookings array with bookings day objects and return a string with all information for each booking. Do the following: generate a date corresponding to each day in November. Ascertain the garden and lake booked for that day, if any. Create a new booking object and add that booking to the array. Return a string containing each of the booking day objects on a new line. Okay, so it's also asking us to return a string on there. So we've got a couple of things there. Firstly, we're going to create the method, so it doesn't receive anything, but it returns a string. So we know it's going to be public string. It's going to be called process bookings. So process bookings. Okay, and we know that we're going to create a blank string, and we're going to return that blank string. It's a nice habit to get into to make sure that you always are doing what you need to do. So the next step that I've got to do is, let me just see if I can learn this up. Okay, so now we're going to do that. The next thing we're going to do is we have to generate a booking for every single day that's there and add it to it. So to make a booking for every single day, we got told that there will be exactly 30 days in November. Well, there is 30 days in November, so we're generating a day for November. We actually need to generate the date. So the date will equal to, if we look at the format that all the other ones in, so we make sure that it's not the right text file. We open up that text file that should be in here, so weddings.txt. We take a look at it, and the dates is in the format year, month, day. Now all of them are 2016, so this was because this was last year's exam. So 2016-11- and then it's the number. But now the tricky thing is that it's 05, 09. So when it's under 10, it's a 0 and the number. And when it's above 10, it's obviously just the number. So that's going to be a little bit tricky to deal with, but the rest should be simple enough. So let's take a look at this. So we know that we're going to have 2016-11- then we're going to have the I. Now this is where it's going to separate out a little bit. So what I want to actually do is I want to declare my string date out here, and then I'm going to make date equal to that over here. But now I'm going to put it into an if statement just to help me out a bit. Surround with, let me actually finish it first. Let me surround with an if statement, and I'm going to go, well, the next line will be if. So if open brackets I is greater than or equal to greater than 9, then it'll just be date plus equals I. Whereas else, if it's less than 10, so if it's 9, 8, 7, whatever, then it'll be date plus equals a 0 plus I. So that it would handle the 0 or not. So this will generate the date. So now that we've got the date generated, the next thing we need to do is we need to deal with the actual creating the object. So whether it's garden or whatnot, venues. So if we look at our booking day, it has the date, the garden, and the lake bookings. So we've got the date. Now we need to find out the garden booking. So we're going to say wedding is equal to get weddings on day, and we're going to send through the venue garden. Now this is quite important that I need to check if my garden is the same as if the garden's got a capital letter or not, because otherwise this will not work. So I'm going to call it dedicated garden. So now I need to make sure that my garden here, capital G. So we need to also call this capital G here. It's case sensitive, so just I coded it as such. And then we'll need to do the same for lake, so wedding lake is equal to wedding if it is equal to lake on that date, and that would then formulate those two. We're now going to create a new wedding object if we need to. So we're going to say, a new booking day object. So booking day. So work with that. So let's answer this call. Okay, so booking days, position num booking days is equal to new booking day date garden lake semicolon. Sweet, so then we've got that. It would automatically create them, and if it was null, this would return null if it didn't exist, so it would put null into there, and we handled the null inside our wedding object. In our booking day. You'll see here we handled if it was null here, and we handled if it was null here, and it's good to have read the question paper beforehand so you could understand, and definitely, okay, null is what it would be if the wedding didn't exist on that day. It would be null, so we needed to handle null. So it's very important to do that. And I think this exam was a bit about the null object. So now if we go further down, now it says question 5, it says create a UE for this. So write a simple UE code that will allow simple output, declare instance venue manager, appropriate place, blah blah blah. Write code to calling the appropriate method. You must call the methods as following: list all weddings, populate and display booking dates. Okay, cool. So basically we're looking at displaying two different things: list all weddings and populate and display booking dates. When we got that. So I'm just going to quickly create for me the quickest way to create a user interface is actually with the JFrame, is with your actual GUI user interface. That one is called GUI, and that one is called wedding UI. So wedding UI, right? And then I would just create a, in this case I want two separate things to be displayed, so I'm actually just going to set it to be a grid layout, and I'm going to set the grid layout properties of it to be 2 columns by 1 row. I'm then going to add 2 text areas into it. So text area, and then text area. Cool. I'll set the, okay, this is me just being pedantic now, not that it really matters at all. I can't be write anything anyway, so now I just to make it a little bit prettier. And I'm going to call this one txt weddings. Now I'll change this variable name to txt, I can't even remember the name. The display. Nope. txt bookings. Okay, so now we're going to have to do something else here. We're going to save all, we're going to source, and then now what we're going to do is we're going to create an instance of our wedding object. So I'm going to go wedding manager, wedding manager, so wedding manager. What do we call it? Your manager, booking, venue manager, my bad. Venue manager, vman. So we create an instance of here, because it's a field, I'm just going to make it private. I mean, it doesn't specify, it doesn't really care in this case. So semicolon, and now we initialize it in here. So we say vman in our constructor is equal to new vmanager, and we're going to send through the file name, which in this case is weddings.txt, semicolon. We now need to then set our text weddings to be .set text to be vman list all weddings, semicolon, and then txt bookings set text to vman populate process bookings, semicolon. So that then should display all the bookings processed. The chances of me not making any mistakes is very slim, but let's check. Hey, okay, well that's good and bad. Okay, so all the weddings have been added, and the list weddings is working, but the processed weddings hasn't worked, and I know the reason why. And the reason why it hasn't worked is because I actually never returned or added to SL ever. So I created the wedding dates here. One, I didn't increment num bookings, so I didn't actually finish this. So num booking day plus told you, chances of me making no mistakes is very similar. Ooh, before increments, I should actually go then SL plus equals booking days plus \n, and there should be bookings place I, num bookings, semicolon. So then we add booking names to the string and we'll increment it afterwards. I put 2 answers just to make it more clearly different. So now that should work. Play, and voila, it's now got both things. So here's a list of the so no weddings booked on that day, so forth, so forth, so forth. Cool, looks good. Looks like none of them were overbooked. Here we got garden venues overbooked by 11 guests. Okay, so we're a couple, or at least one. Here we got 5 guests. Okay, so overbooked, everything is working, we're happy. All the stuff here is duplicated here when it's the actual wedding for the person. We're happy. So now we're going to go and we're going to now read the next question of the paper. So we've done all of this. Now I think it's just a challenging question. This just says to us, write code in the venue manager called display calendar. This method should accept an integer of the parameter indicating the day of the week the first falls on, and the Friday of the month is a Friday. The parameter would be 5. This method returns a string representing. Note that you may not use any built-in calendar objects for this question. Okay, so it receives a number of days that it starts. So it receives, this case example here, it would received 5, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is an example of 4. And display here, it goes to the bottom here and it says if you pass 7, which is a Sunday, it would then do this. So the 1 is a Monday, and so forth. Okay, so now I'm not going to just do this to the command line because I'm not going to create a new GUI element to there, but that's what it's asking us to do in which class is it asking us to do that in. Create a new code called display calendar. Okay, well, let's go public string display calendar, and then int first. So this will be the display the first day that it's returned. We can assume that it's 30 days. So string s cal is equal to blank, so I always create a blank one, and then I return s cal semicolon. Now I know that there is going to be we need to first set up our string at the top, which is our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I'm going to go string. Okay, in which case I can actually literally go Monday \t, Tuesday \t, wed \t, thu \t, fri \t, sat \t. This is quite boring. Sun. Alright, so we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Done. Now I know that the first day that it starts, so if it starts on 1, I don't need to add anything, I'll just go straight to it. But now if it doesn't, we know that we're looping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got set 5 by 7. So what I can do is I can literally create a for tab. So I loop 5 times, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know this is dealing with my rows. So I know that at the end of each one of those, I can go, is cal plus equals \n. So this is dealing with my rows. So every single time I'll put in a new row in there. Now I want to create an internal loop, and my internal loop is going to deal with the calendars, and we know it's 0 to 7, because it's got actually technically it's 1, while it's less than or equal to 7, because then I'm dealing with the same as the first here. Now I can go here and I can say if open brackets I is equal to 0, so it's the first row, and first is less than I. So in other words, if the first day is not there yet, so in other words, if it was 7, if it would not display 7. So let's just take a look at this. So now, if that is the case, then I will want to not display the number. So I'm actually going to do it the other way around. I'm going to put this into brackets overall, and I'm going to say not. So if it is not before the first day, then I want to add I. So then I'll go, ooh, but now I is not, it will increment beyond what I want because it's not 7. So J's got there. And I'd actually have to say first is not less than J. But now J would be that. So I'm actually going to create a variable called int. Hey, we've got first. So int I, int day is equal to 0, so is equal to 1, semicolon. Then we'll go scal, we need an enter here, scal plus equals to I, semicolon, not I, day. And then we would go day plus plus. So we'd increment the days only if we add the day into the calendar. So here we've gone through, you've got an outer loop looping through the each week, then a loop looping through each day of the week. And only if the day is, if it's the first row and it's the before the day of the week, then I'll add the day to the display and I'll increment day. Then I'll go if open brackets not, sorry, I don't need an if here. Now I just need scal plus equals a tab character. And that should be it. To me this would work. I don't know, but it should work. So let's actually now find out a way to display it. So let's modify my display quickly. Yeah, I'm going to be lazy. I'm just going to go and cite it. So I'm going to say cite vman dot get calendar, so display calendar, and I'll say the 5th. The example that they used was the 7th. Okay, so let's try 7th first to start off with, just to see if it looks like what it would look like there. So play, and then voila, but it goes up to 35. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, it also loops it for the first one, so my if statement's not working. So the calendar is displaying, it's just not doing as it should. So we go back to my venue manager and we work on this. So this case is not working, it's always the case. So if I is equal to 0, let's say is not equal to 0 and first is greater than or equal to j. So if the first day is greater than or equal to j, okay, that I think my logic there might have been wrong. It still might be, but I think that's better. And I also need to stop at 30. So I also need to go and day less than 31. Okay, so I'm stopping it at 31, and here I'm trying to, sorry, at 30, so it'll be only when it's less than, and then here I'm trying to check that it's the I is within and j is less than or equal to the first day. Sorry, it's greater than or equal to the first day. That should have occurred, so that should hopefully work. So now it should, over the whole full column, first column is not there, it only displays up to 28 now. Okay, so I'm not displaying the right, so the whole first column is not shown, and I think I actually need 6 rows here, not 5. Because if I look at the question paper, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And even if it starts there, it'll still be 5. So that's correct. But then I should need to start on the first row. If 1 is there, I have to start on the first row. Hey, 6 columns here. Because of the fact that it starts there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So I do need to go up to 6. And if the first day is less than or equal to j, first day, so if the day is 7, if j is 7, it will equal to 7. So it's not equal to 0. This statement is wrong. I need to work on this. Okay, I want to pause this thing and get this right because I don't want to waste your guys' time. But it was my statement there that's being iffy. I've changed the logic here, whether it's going to work. Basically, first I looked if the I is greater than 0 and the day is less than 31. Sorry. Yeah, so it'll be between 13, stop at 30, all that, and sorry, or so saying that if that's true, it will place. In other words, if the row is after 1, so it's not in row 1, it's in the later rows, and the day is before 31, then you can do this. This one is saying if the day is 0, sorry, if I is 0, so not the day, if I is 0, so it's on the first row, and the j, so the weekday, is greater than or equal to the actual first day of the week, then you display. So the first day will only display if it's in the first row, first week, only display if j is greater than or equal to the first, then it will display it. So if I now run this, if my logic is correct, it should work, but I just thought so earlier and it didn't work, so we shall see if that's the case. But if I now run this, there we go. So it works for the 7th day, so now I'm just going to go to my UE and check if it works for the 5th day. Sweet. So now does my logic got better there. My bad on that. I got a bit confused with the logic of the starting with this if statement and when to start the day and when actually display the day and when not. The answer loop is just basically saying go through 6 weeks, with 7 days in each week, and then if it's within the boundaries of which days they can be displayed, otherwise don't. And I do not understand 0 to 6, which means it'll display 5 columns. That's why I was getting confused earlier, because they're less than 5, so we're only going 4 columns, or less than 6, it now goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's cool. Alright, enjoy your day. Bye.